What if you got a message that was impossible, a message that shouldn't exist, clicking its way across the wires from the future? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today, a simple dot-dash signal that traveled across time and ended up saving a man's life.
So this is it. This is what came through the line. Not static, not some garbled mess, but a crystal clear and frankly chilling warning that arrived at a lonely telegraph station way back in 1878. And the sender? They claimed to be from 2026.
Okay, so how on earth does something like this even happen? To understand that, we have to go back to the very moment this anomaly first cracked the silence on a freezing night in Wyoming. Now, you have to picture the scene. This isn't some busy office in a city. We're talking about the Medicine Bow Telegraph Station. It was basically a wooden shack plopped down next to the Union Pacific Railroad tracks. I mean, it is the definition of isolated, surrounded by miles of nothing but snow, wind, and silence. The perfect place, really, for a message to slip through time unnoticed. Or to find the one person it was meant for.
And that brings us to the man at the heart of this whole thing, the operator. And also to a really crucial technical detail that takes this story from a simple ghost story and turns it into a truly mind-bending mystery.
This is Harlan Crow, and he is not some starry-eyed dreamer. This guy's a pro. He's a former signalman from the Civil War. His entire life is built on order, on precision. He knows his gear inside and out, he knows Morse code like the back of his hand, and he even knows the unique sending styles, they called it a fist, of every single operator on his line. He's working the graveyard shift all alone, making him the only witness to what's about to happen.
And you have to put yourself in his shoes, right? That's the first question that's got to be screaming through your mind. Is this some kind of joke? Some kid down the line in Cheyenne messing around with a new key? Or is he actually hearing something that just defies all logic?
And here is the first major clue: the smoking gun. The message wasn't just weird because of what it said, but how it was sent. See, back in 1878, they used American Morse. It was kind of clunky, and every operator had their own unique rhythm. But this message, it was in International Morse code, a system that wouldn't even be standardized for decades. And the rhythm? It was perfect, robotic. There was no human fist. It was utterly flawless.
And just when he thinks it can't get any stranger, a second message clicks through. It's even more specific and way more unsettling. It calls out his station by its call letters, MLB, and then gives a date almost 150 years in his future. The warning itself is just stark. Leave now. For Harlan, sitting alone in that shack, I have to imagine the chill he felt had nothing to do with the wind outside.
So, at this point, Harlan is still skeptical. I mean, who wouldn't be? A prank still seems like the most logical answer. But that skepticism is about to get completely torn apart piece by piece as the impossible becomes terrifyingly, undeniably real.
The mysterious sender starts transmitting predictions. And we're not talking about some vague fortune cookie prophecies here. No, these were incredibly precise, verifiable events that were about to happen. You can just imagine the dawning horror Harlan must have felt as he realized he was getting a real-time report from his own immediate future.
This is the one. This is the message that changed everything. A specific place, an exact time, a body count, and even a warning about a specific train car. There is zero room for misinterpretation. Harlan, probably frantic, runs outside into the blizzard, sees nothing, and he waits.
Then, at exactly 4:12 a.m., he hears it. A distant, horrible sound of metal twisting and crashing. The next day, the news confirms everything. A train derailed in the whiteout, right at mile 47. 3 people were killed. The message was tragically, horrifyingly correct. This was no longer a prank. This was real. Can you even imagine being in his position? He has this awful, impossible knowledge. He has proof. So he does the right thing. He wires his bosses in Cheyenne, tells them about the weird signal, the predictions, everything. And the response? They tell him it's just line noise. They accuse him of being drunk. They tell him to report to his supervisor in the morning. He is completely, utterly alone with this.
And this is where the story shifts. It goes from being a terrifying, strange phenomenon to a personal, life-or-death ultimatum. because the messages stop being about distant events, and they become about one person, Harlan Crow.
Suddenly, the messages got personal. The sender knew his full name, his job, and now it gave him the exact date of his own death, just a few weeks away. And the cause? The very same blizzard that was still raging right outside his window.
Now, despite everything, Harlan stays. Maybe it was his sense of duty, maybe he just couldn't bring himself to believe it. But on January 14th, the day before he's supposed to die, the prophecy starts coming true. A monster blizzard slams into the territory, far worse than anything he'd ever seen. The snow piles up against his door, trapping him inside as the fire in his stove starts to die.
So there he is, trapped, freezing to death, probably thinking it's all over. And then the telegraph just erupts one last time. It's this final, desperate plea, and it ends with the most chilling line of all. It is not a warning, it is a message from the other side. That was it. That was the final push he needed. He had to make a choice, logic or a desperate chance at survival. Harlan makes his choice. He survives. But his escape doesn't solve the mystery. In fact, it only makes it deeper, leaving behind a whole string of questions that, honestly, have no easy answers.
He literally throws his shoulder against the door, fighting his way out into that blinding storm. He can't see anything, so he just stumbles along trying to follow the buried train tracks. He's found the next day by a rescue party, half frozen, on the brink of death, but alive.
And this timeline really shows you the result of that one single decision. He was supposed to die on January 15th, 1879. Instead, he got another 44 years. He lived all the way until 1923. He cheated the very specific fate that had been laid out for him.
But here's the final twist, and it is a wild one. Weeks later, when a crew finally digs out the Medicine Bow station, they find the telegraph equipment is completely fine, but the logbook, the pages where Harlan had carefully written down every single one of those impossible messages, they were gone, ripped out. The only physical proof had just vanished into thin air.
So what actually happened out there? I mean, the theories are just as bizarre as the story. Was it some kind of temporal echo? A signal that literally bounced through time? A deliberate message sent by a future time traveler trying to fix something? Or maybe, and this is the one that really gets me, was it Harlan himself? Somehow reaching back across the veil of death to save his own life?
We'll probably never have the answers. And maybe that's what makes this story stick with you. It doesn't have a neat little bow at the end, it just leaves you with that one big question. What do you believe was clicking through that telegraph on that frozen winter night?
We're going to end with this. This quote was found in letters Harlan wrote long after the event. It was his own conclusion, his own piece of haunting advice from a man who got a message he shouldn't have, and lived to tell the tale because he chose to listen. A final, chilling thought to leave you with.